The Murphy, Sam, and Jody After the Show podcast today. We really get some great news for producer Bailey. This is kind of a weird situation because, would this be a first, Jody, for us? And, Jody and I foster dogs. I should say Jody fosters dogs. I follow along like a good husband should.
You feed them.
Oh, no, I'm You're
teasing.
the dog whisperer at home.
And so we had a dog whose name was Dylan when he came in, who was very skittish, and we only had him for a couple of days. And producer Bailey is the one who really just fell for him and adopted him out. And then that's where it got a little weird, right?
Yeah, because I then only had him for 2 days, and he was let out without a leash while I was here at work, and he just ran down the street and wasn't seen again for another 2 weeks.
2 weeks. It's like, and my friends who are in rescue were telling me, you're going to find this dog again. You're going to see this dog again. Either somebody's got him or, animal control will catch him or something. You will see him again. We haven't had any reports of him showing up injured at a vet because we went to all the vets too,
And that's what
we searched
That's
together,
amazing to me because I don't know. I was certainly not going to give up in my head, but by the time we got to almost the 2 week mark, I was really concerned it was going to be every day they went by, it was going to be less likely you were going to find him. And so this is, Sam, I don't know if you know this part of the story or not. When Bailey found him, he called Jody, and Jody and I were driving somewhere. She's in the passenger seat of the car, and I go from the hello to, oh my God! She's screaming at the top of her lungs, and an exciting Jody thing,
Well, what's funny is if I had gotten a call from you in those first few days, which I did several times, you and I were communicating a lot. I was trying to search with you as much as possible too.
Yeah.
I would have been like, hello, what is it? But by 2 weeks, and on a Sunday afternoon riding with Murphy, I was like, I wonder why Bailey's calling me. And then I'm like, hello? And my mind starts to think, is this about Hank?
Yeah, I heard it in your voice before I said it. You answered the phone, I said, hey, and then I don't know what you said after that, but it was like just a little bit of, oh God, he's here.
Yeah, and Bailey says, I'm looking at Hank right now. He's in my living room.
Yeah.
That's when I screamed. Okay.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
So it is wonderful. It was such an experience, and I've learned so much from this.
Oh, yeah,
that
same.
you and I, this search together, we learned a lot about searching together. We learned a lot about each other.
Yeah.
We made a great team, actually, even though we didn't find him for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We did make a really good team.
I think we really did everything that was possible and everything that was necessary, and even some extraneous stuff as well. But I've lived with dogs before. This was my first dog. Like, this is the first time I've ever owned a dog.
Yeah.
And so it was a mad campaign to get him back.
Yeah, it was flyers and everything online we could do, and walking. When there were people in the neighborhoods.
I even helped put up some flyers.
Thank you, Chad. I know, because you don't live far from Bailey.
Yeah.
And everybody who was walking a dog that we saw, we would stop and hand them a flyer, even if there was one on the stop sign right in front of them, like, hold on to this, please, because.
Yeah. And
so
along that line, one thing that I do want to make sure that people who are listening to this know is that, you think entirely digitally now, but the flyers were the number one help, I think.
Yeah.
I think the flyers with it wasn't even that descriptive, the flyers that we put up on the stop signs.
Right.
The best help was just a big picture, a big lost color dog, and
lost
here's
brown
my
dog.
number.
Right, and the phone number.
Yeah.
And we were told that by someone who is in rescue.
Yeah.
And what's probably true is that if you see something online on your phone, like a lost dog in your neighborhood, okay, you make note of it, and then 3 hours go by, you have work, you have your own life, and you may not remember that. But if you have a flyer in your car, or if you have it at home or whatever.
Well, or if you see it, that also means the likelihood is the dog is thought to be in that area. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where you're already outside anyway. Whereas if you just get the note.
Yeah.
And it's, look, Nextdoor and those apps and the Lost Pets and, all that on Facebook, they're all important components to create awareness. But I agree with you. It's funny. I know it feels old school, but it's not when you think about it, because at the moment somebody could do something about it, they're there with the sign posted in the neighborhood on the lookout.
Yeah.
That's very different than being in your kitchen.
Okay, so whenever you called me and I screamed and I knew you had him and I knew he needed a bath and he needed to sleep and he needed to eat because he was definitely skinnier, which hurts me. Give me the real specifics. You said he was found near a tennis court or something?
Okay, yeah. So I live in a big neighborhood that is next to like a I don't really know what
gated,
to call it. It's not a gated community, but
it's a nice community of it's a
yeah. They have tennis courts and basketball courts and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's an area we searched heavily too.
Yeah, and he was found by someone who it just keeps up with lost dogs. They say they find lost dogs all the time, and it was somebody who lived in the neighborhood walking around with her son and their dog, and they were walking by the tennis courts and just saw him kind of slinking around. And they said,
how did they? Yeah, because he was so skittish. How did they get him?
He walked to them.
He was probably starving.
Yeah, he walked toward her son. They said, and
young kid.
Yeah, young kid.
Yeah, somebody towering over may not, because he's sort of skittish.
Yeah.
You know, he may have been non-threatened by that.
Right, and I thought that was amazing that
is.
he walked toward them. But what they said was they had gotten a flyer that I was handing out in my car. So I was driving around handing out flyers and looking. They also saw the new flyers that were being put up on the stop signs,
right,
and all the next door stuff. And so they just knew how important it was because of the continued effort.
Last Thursday, I had an extra 10 minutes before I had to go do something. So I drove into the neighborhood and slowly, I feel like I need to put that on my car too, like looking for dog, because I'm serious. There's so much slow driving and trolling around your neighborhood that people think we are like, what do you call that? Casing the neighborhood.
Casing the joint.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I need to do that next time. If I ever have to do this again, I'm going to put a big poster board that says "Looking for a Lost Dog."
Yeah.
I'm not trying to case your house, but anyway, I got out. I saw this lady walking her dog, and I had a flyer.
Yeah.
And I got out of my car and I walked to her, and she said, "Are you looking for Hank still?" She said, "I know the young man who's looking, and I know you're the redheaded lady who's looking." She said, "You looking for Hank still?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Take this if you will," and she did. So people are really wonderful if you're just honest with them about what you're doing.
Seriously.
Oh my gosh.
I'm curious because Bailey, it was your roommate who actually let the dog loose.
Yeah.
Accidentally.
Yeah.
Is he still your roommate?
He's still my roommate contractually. But yeah, he's still my roommate. I mean, we'll be living in the same house. Yeah, there's definitely more rules around how the dog can be handled.
And I'm sure he feels badly about it, right? I mean, obviously he didn't intend for that to be.
Yeah, that first day was pretty hard for both of us.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a fun night.
No, it really wasn't.
Well, and not in his in his defense, he did help you look. I know that at least the first several days. But I will say this: his dog, your roommate, has a dog as well, Artie.
Mm-hmm.
And Artie, I got to know Artie during this search too, because we took him with us a lot too.
Yeah.
Is that Artie? You can bring him outside and he stays.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's your roommate's experience with a dog.
Right. Yeah.
And Hank is not that dog.
Mm-hmm.
Not yet.
Yeah, I'm hoping he will be eventually with some time and luck.
Yeah,
with that. But as I've always told Jody, even the best dogs can get distracted and enticed by something at the moment you least expect it.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm just one to never have a dog not walking on the leash, because if it's a squirrel or, I mean, who knows? They can, in any moment, something can get their interest where the best trained dogs will run.
Yeah.
You know?
By the way, it was a lot of fun searching in the woods with you, Bailey. Bailey is smart. Y'all, listen, I'm sitting there walking in the woods, and I only walk so far, and I stop. And I know I need to stop because he's listening for footprints of a dog, so I need to stop. Mm-hmm. He goes deeper into the woods with Artie one day, and he is making all the right little whistles and stuff like that. And Bailey comes back with pictures on his phones of footprints.
Oh, yeah.
You could be the new Ace Ventura pet detective.
Like forensics.
Dog footprints?
Yes.
And actually, I was doing some comparison work. I really think the footprints that I found in the mud everywhere were Hank's footprints.
Right.
But that's good. I mean, you never know where that kind of info could lead to.
Are you kidding? One day, Bailey and I were talking to this man, and he was letting us look all around his whole property because he had farm equipment everywhere. That was the day after that really cold night.
Yeah.
And we were looking, and then I got an alert on my phone from one of the lost, pets postings. Oh, he was just sighted on this street near the church with the gates. So Bailey and I get into my car at that point.
Right.
Well, maybe not like that.
Yeah.
We do.
Okay.
We haul it down to that street, and we discovered there are 2 churches with huge gates.
Right.
So I dropped Bailey off at one, and he jumps the fence, and then I go to the other one, and I run into this man who was there cutting the grass, and he had just seen him. So I call Bailey. I think at one point that was the closest we got. We were maybe an hour behind him, an hour or 2 behind him, and that's where you saw some prints.
And that was to me the most frustrating aspect of this search was all of the digital efforts that we made were delayed by an hour and a half because they saw him and didn't think to post on there or weren't able to post onto there
at first.
Yeah,
right.
Or it was very strange, but that was quite frustrating.
Well, and the first day that he was out is where he's going to have the most energy.
Right.
As time wore on and he wasn't eating as much, he was going to slow down, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
My friend told us that he's going to wear out at some point.
Yeah, because ultimately he was in the neighborhood. He did not leave, and there were some sightings that were way far away.
They weren't him, really.
Yeah, I have no idea if it was him at all.
Right.
What did he do when you showed up?
When I showed up, he was a little bit scared because he was getting held by the kid that had found him. And so I showed up with all those treats that you gave me. And I dumped them on the ground. He didn't want any piece of it.
Really?
Yeah, I think he was ultimately just scared to be in contact with humans again.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
But I'm telling you, the most gratifying part of this whole experience was walking with him after on that day that he got found and taking down the lost posters off the signs.
Yeah.
But it was like having a conversation with him, like, what are you most scared of now? Because every time a car passed, he was ready to go into the woods.
Really?
Yeah. A car, a person, anything. He was just ready to stay put and not make any noise.
Good. He was exhausted.
Yeah.
He was exhausted.
Yeah.
Are you going to put some sort of tracking thing on him?
There's going to be a collar on him with GPS. There's everything.
And his name and your number and all that.
Yeah. While he was lost, I thought it was funny. The adoption agency sent me all of his tag information, all of his rabies shot tags and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was real fun.
Yeah, and make sure he's got a phone too. So if he's gone, calls you every 30 minutes.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah, Life 360
for the
with Hank.
dog.